All right, so at this stage, we are ready to develop or create the method for deleting a node within a tree. Well, to do this, we're going to need a little helper. We need to revisit the concept of rooted. In other words, we need to find the max key within a certain tree that we're going to use as a replacement to the node that we're going to delete throughout the tree. Okay, so to do the max, it's going to be based on the key. So we want a method that will return an integer that has the highest value that we can get out of the tree. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to make this method private since it will be a service method. We're not going to use it directly in main or in the application. It will be used by the delete method. So let's get started there. So private, and let's suppose it returns an integer. It will return an integer, and let's call it max value. Okay, and basically, you will supply it with a node, right? And from there, it will evaluate from that node. It will evaluate down which is the max and will return that value. So let's go ahead and do data node. And let's call it node. And so how are we going to work with this? Well, we can create a temporary node equal to this node, and then we'll do the swapping as we go. So we could do a data node. We could create a temp and give it the reference node itself. Okay. And then what else? Well, we could do a while loop and step through the whole thing. So while and the way we're going to do it is, since we're going to be looking for max is going to be the highest value. So we're going to go to the right. So temp, let's start from there. So that's our starting point. Dot get right. Okay. Is null. Then we're going to do something here. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. Get right is not equal to null. I was thinking a different language here. All right, so what do? We move temp to temp equals temp dot get right. So keep moving, right? So keep moving on the right until it's null. So what happens after that? Well, it's a good to return the last one you ended up with. So we're going to return, right? Temp dot get key, because it is the key after all that we're looking for. All right, so now having this method, it's going to be a helper for the deletion method we're going to use. Now for deleting, we're going to use the same technique that we used for search, which means we're going to have a simple method and then a much more complex method that takes a node that will be the helper for the method that we'll use in main. So our next thing we're going to do in our next video is simply we're going to start with the delete method now that we have this and we're ready to go. So I'll see you then.